you ready for class? Welcome back to the Panic Room, guys, and to episode 4 of Pax's Little Library of Horrors. We are going to actually be diving into our first YA novel on this channel, and it's actually the book that inspired this series, On All Hallows Eve by Grace Chetwin. Now, if you tuned in for episode 1, you know that when I was unpacking, when we moved into this house, I came upon this book and have some very fond memories of reading this with my mom. And again, let's just take in the cover. I know for a lot of our children's books we talk about the artwork, and I wanted to point out that if you were just in a library or in a bookshop, I feel like you would probably overlook this, because for me, this cover looks very like late 80s standard Halloween mystery YA novel. Like, oh, there is a girl and a witch, right? This book is just so chock full of cool shit. I can't even begin to tell you. If you have a young adult that is really into creepy stuff, if they like Goosebumps, Fear Street even, I think that's having a little bit of a resurgence, they're going to love this. And there is a lot to this book. You know, it's not just your standard girl meets witch on Halloween and fights the witch and goes home. There's a lot to this, a lot of really dark parts to this. So, we're not going to read the book together. If that is something that you guys would be interested in, let me know. I would be more than happy to do like maybe I think they're calling them reading sprints, and maybe we can read this together. Yeah, let me know down below if that's something. I would be totally up for doing that. Reading to the camera by myself in a room. Yes, I'll do it. Just let me know down below if that's something you guys would like to see. So what I wanted to do was give kind of like a spoiler-free review, because I really think that this is something that you want to go out and pick up for the child in your life, or hell, even you. But to make it a little bit different, because this is a different series, it's not like my regular book reviews, I don't want to give you spoilers, because there are so many gems in this book. So let's get started, guys. We open with two sisters, Meg and Sue, and our narrator for this book is actually Meg. You find out that the sisters have moved to New York City from across the pond, and that Meg in particular is getting made fun of. She's getting bullied by a number of young men. Our book opens with them at a Halloween party, and of course, you know, it doesn't take very long for these guys to find Meg and start to bully her. And Meg tells us that she's getting bullied for things like her accent, because, you know, she's not from America, so she does speak with an accent, and also her name. And that's a bit of an important detail. Her name is, and I'm probably going to butcher this, I want to say it's Welsh, I think, and it's Miffinway. Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, but she shortened it to Meg to try and fit in, which I think is understandable and a common theme in YA novels. So, to make a long story short, they end up on the run, literally, running away from these bullies. And there's this shack in their town, and they decide they're going to go hide in this shack. Well, Sue, being the more popular one, tells Meg that, you know, this shack is haunted, people told her about it at school, let's not go in here. But Meg is like, screw this, I need to get away from bullies. And you find that this shack is a bit of a doorway, and they find themselves in a very odd place, and it's a wooded area, but it's unlike anything that they are aware of in this new town. You know, they do have a little bit of a point in the book where they think maybe they're just lost, but that is quickly dispelled with some of the things that start to happen to them. So guys, I wanted to read a little bit of an excerpt from this book, simply because I feel like the one that I picked really shows you the mood that this book sets and the absolute creep factor. Keep in mind while I read that this book was geared towards young adults, children. So let's begin. To set this up, the girls are traveling, and they come upon kind of a valley-esque portion of the woods, so keep that in mind. It was clumsy and slow, but Meg felt better traveling that way. At least if anything came at them now, it would be more likely to grab them both at once. Down, down, and still down. Around gnarled tree trunks and over rotten logs they went, dead blackberry canes snagged at their jeans, their sleeves, and their hair. Meg's mind began to wander. Her feet slowed. She fought the urge to simply sit down and give up. They came to an abrupt stop at the edge of a clearing and stared out dumbly at what they saw. In the middle of that space stood a solitary stone slab, lit by a single shaft of moonlight. A waist-high, black rectangular slab that seemed to suck the moonbeam down into its very depths. Under that stone spell, Meg crept out into the open, Sue at her heels. They both sat cross-legged, staring at it. Meg's eyes gradually closed. The everyday world seemed so unreal now, so far away, so unimportant. Images came into her mind of a white face, a beautiful face, with great dark eyes, bright red lips, and black hair piled high, crowned with a jet-black diadem of a long body wreathed in fine, dark stuff that floated around it like mist on the surface of a cold lake. Meg knew that face, knew it well, for had she not dreamed and daydreamed about it in these past years? It was her very own face that it had been many lifetimes before, or so she liked to imagine. The face of Morgan Le Fay, with its all-knowing smile, powerful and cool. Her thoughts stirred as though something had ruffled their surface. Morgan Le Fay would not be traipsing around lost within yards of her own back door. Neither would she make a sitting target of herself in such a sinister place as this. Meg, Sue's voice sounded as though it were coming through a wall. I'm having such a bad dream, like the ones I used to have when I was young. You know, Sue's voice faded away, and Meg almost forgot her, until she went on. That one where I'm running from those people and I can't seem to move, and they're getting closer and closer and closer. Sue started to cry softly. Meg pushed herself up from the ground and took Sue's hand. We must, she began, and then she forgot what they must. Move, a voice inside her urged. Move, away, go. Morgan Le Fay would not let herself be so beguiled. With a few magic words, she would be out of this place. Meg, coming awake, recalled her fear of the broken-down fence not far off of Horse Hollow Road. And not only did she recall it, but she also recognized now that its source was here in this place, powerful and undiluted. And the name of this source, this essence, evil. That clearing, no, the stone. Evil was that stone. We must get out of here, she thought with sudden urgency. With a great effort, she pulled Sue up into walk, feeling as though she were now sharing Sue's nightmare, or wading like a diver along the deep-sea floor. She had a growing sense that something very, very dangerous was advancing towards them at great speed. Sue, let's go! 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 Somehow Meg dragged Sue out of the clearing and then on and on and on. After a time, Meg let go of Sue's hand. She felt the terrible panic fading, felt it being left behind. A strong conviction grew upon her that they had been in peril for their lives. Who knows what might have happened if we'd stayed by that awful stone, she muttered to herself. What? Nothing, I say. Meg raised her voice. I think we're going up again. Yes, we are. Hooray, Sue cried. You know, I began to feel quite funny down in that hollow, didn't you? Meg, more herself by the minute, didn't bother to reply. Her leg warmers and her jeans were soaked through, and her toes were squelching in their socks. I don't care what happens, she declared aloud a few minutes later. Nobody, but nobody, will ever get me to go down there again. So, what do you think? Creepy, huh? And that's not even the best scene. So you heard in that little excerpt that Morgan Le Fay plays a little bit of a role in this. So you do get a little bit of history as well. And there is a very cool, interesting connection between Morgan Le Fay, which if you don't know, Morgan Le Fay was like the witch sister of King Arthur. And I don't claim to know a whole lot about that story, but what I do know is that she plays a pivotal role in here for Meg. Meg was, I want to say, named after her and kind of can trace her lineage back. So there's that aspect of it. And you saw how Meg kind of, I want to say, idolizes her, and there's a whole lot in this book about digging down into yourself and pulling out that powerful part of you. And so the protagonist in this book is Samana, which put me in mind of The Ring. You know, as soon as I remember I read this before The Ring ever came out as a movie, and I remember when I heard that little girl's name thinking of this book. just because of how similar it was, especially the way they describe her. And obviously, you know, I don't think it's going to come as any shock that we do get a face-off between Meg and Samana. But overall, the book is a very cool story about owning who you are. And what I really love about this is that you come to find out that the girls being lost in the woods seems to be allegorical about trying to find who you are. And Samana is just this overwhelming force in the woods that Meg and Sue sort of have to face off against. You know, obviously we do get a climactic scene to that regard, but you find out that Meg and Sue aren't the only ones lost in this wood. And, you know, Meg kind of has to dig down deep and pull out this Morgan Le Fay side of herself. Again, I don't want to go too deep into this. I'm not very good at spoiler-free reviews. This is my first one. But please, I hope that little excerpt that I read whet your palate for this book. It is really out there and one of the best spooky young adult novels I have ever read. Literally top 3, maybe 1. So guys, thank you so much for coming to episode 4 with the book that kind of inspired this whole series on All Hallows Eve. I'm going to try to get this video up around Halloween. It might come out a little bit after that, but we're on Horror BookTube. We don't need a holiday to read a scary story, right? So guys, thank you again so much for coming to the Panic Room. Please let me know, what do you think? Did I whet your palate to read on All Hallows Eve? You know, for yourself or for maybe your child or a kid in your life? Comment down below. Let me know. What is your favorite Halloween book? That's an interesting question. Do you have a favorite book that's centered around Halloween? I mean, here we are on HorrorTube. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's obsessed with Halloween, right? But guys, if you like this, please like, subscribe. It would really help me out. Thank you so much for coming to episode 4 of this new series in the Panic Room. And until next time, class dismissed.